Hello, my sewing friends. This is Friday Sews. I'm Jen, and this is my sewing room where I was in and out this week, but I was mostly in and my table was all torn apart because I had a ceiling fan in here. It was beautiful. It was a dark bronze. It had the blades looked like great big palm leaves. It was beautiful and I loved it, but it hung too low. And whenever I would move things around, I would knock into the blades anytime I had to carry something tall. So I ordered a new one. It is a ceiling hugger. So it's mounted flush with the ceiling, and I put it in all by myself. Now, putting in a ceiling fan is not that big of a deal, but it is if you're a 62-year-old woman and you don't have anybody helping you. And I put the whole thing together and even got the electrical wiring right. I couldn't believe that. And then I turned it on and it was making a sound. It sounded like something was loose up there. So I took it all apart, tucked the wires back up in. That was what the problem was. And put it all back together again. And I have a ceiling fan. I'll show you. There it is. It's really quiet. And I just love it. It's such a difference. Because it's quiet, it puts out a fair amount of air and the blades aren't so long that I'm gonna knock into it all the time. This table was so easy to just get out of the way because it's just a tabletop. You slide that off and then move the bookcases around because they're all on wheels. So if you're gonna make a table like this, really smart idea to put it on wheels, just saying. Okay, last week was Halloween and I asked you what was the craziest thing you ever sewed, and mainly in terms of a costume. Whoa, all of the responses I got. Oh my gosh, it was fantastic. I couldn't get over how many, and there was every imaginable costume that you could think of. Yeah, I couldn't get over it. I thought, wow, I would never have thought of some of these things. So I wrote some of them down and I want to tell you what they were. Whitney from Whitney Sews, she has a YouTube channel. I will link it up here in the cards. She said she made a circus tent one time for a theatrical production. Now, she does a lot of costumes, cosplay, that kind of thing. And a circus tent. How do you even make a 40-foot circus tent? She said she had friends who would help her feed it through the sewing machine. But where do you even do that? Outside, in a gym? Like, whoa, I mean, my eyes bugged right out of my head. I thought, Whitney, oh my gosh. So that was impressive. Janice told me that one year as a kid, she was Thing from the Addams Family. Thing is, you probably remember this character, but it's just a hand and it's like that much. And to get across a floor, it'll go like this. It's hilarious, because that's a funny show. And apparently she had 3 fingers on top of her head. She was covered up. So 3 fingers on top of her head and 2 fingers were her arms. And then she had a black box down below because Thing lives in a black box. I just thought that was priceless. I thought, oh man, I would have loved to have seen that. That was so inventive. Mary was abducted by an alien one year. She went to a lot of trouble and made a paper mache alien head, which the way I envisioned this, and Mary, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but she had the alien like behind her, and then they made like sweater, they used like the arms of a sweater and sewed them onto clothing so it would look like the alien was carrying them. She and her brother, I think. And oh my gosh, can you imagine? What a great costume. So inventive. Rhonda put her 8-month-old in a little spider costume. So anytime that baby's arms would move, apparently all the legs were connected. So you had all 8 legs moving. That had to be so cute. Christina made either her son or her grandson, I think it was her son, costume so he could be a dino rancher. A dino rancher. Is that like a dinosaur cowboy? I'm not even sure what it is, but I think it's hilarious. Boy, can you imagine herding dinosaurs? It just cracks me up. Elaine was also the flying nun, just like I was. I thought that was kind of cool. I wasn't the only one. Carol, my good friend Carol, sent me a picture of this actually on Facebook. She made her daughter into a Heinz ketchup bottle. I couldn't get over it. This costume was just fabulous. I mean, it was pretty much just the red going down, but she had all the lettering right. This kid looked like a ketchup bottle. She really did. And last one, Robin made a clown costume for a horse. A horse. Okay, circus tent, horse costume. Like, how do you even figure out how to do that? Like, how do you draw a pattern for a clown costume for a horse? Wow, I was so impressed with that. So yeah, you all outdid yourselves. You really did. All the costumes were just so fun to read about. So many really inventive ones. Really great stuff. So that's why I love when you talk to me in comments. I get to see things like this. Made a couple of things this week. A lot of things didn't get done because I was putting up the ceiling fan. Actually, it only took about a day and a half or so. But both things were made out of this fabric, and this was one of them. This I cut out last night and I whipped it up this morning. I was happy that it didn't take any longer than it did, but I wish I hadn't had to seam rip some of it out. This is Butterick 31.99. It is from 2001, and I made this one. I have this skirt that I thrifted and did something to the waistline. I'm not sure if I cut off a dress or if I'm not sure what I did, but it's an elastic waistline that I did. I do remember doing the waistline. I just don't remember how it started out, but I had nothing to go with it. And I had some of this, and it was left over from another thing that I'll tell you about in just a second. And I had to take off the collar and redo it a couple of times. So first of all, this is a size 12. Well, it's an 8, 10, 12. And the size 12 was already cut, so I was in good shape that way. I didn't have to trace it out because it was already cut to the largest size, and I was fine with that. I cut it bigger. I went around and just with my scissors, I cut it. I didn't trace it off, so it wasn't really a official 14, but I did cut it about a ½ an inch bigger all the way around, tapering down where all the lines tapered down, but and then I used a ½ inch seam allowance, and I think I got the fit spot on. This is perfect. This is supposed to have a zipper up the back, and I didn't do that. I just cut the back on the fold. Tried it on a couple of times, which I never do, so that was smart, just to make sure I had the fit right. And I went to put the collar on. Now, this is not a true turtleneck. It's like a mock turtleneck because it doesn't come up and then fold down. Well, I got it on, and this whole area was gathering, and I thought, no, I don't want that. So I tried doing it again, stretching this, but trying not to stretch this, and it just I didn't get the same effect. So I looked it up and got a couple of tips that I mainly already knew, but you know how I always say stitch on the inside of the circle? That works well, especially when you're stretching like a ribbing or a collar or a binding, because you're able to stretch it while leaving the underside, this part alone, without stretching it. So that I kind of worked, but kind of didn't. So what I ended up doing was getting some clear elastic and stabilizing just the front of the neckline. So the second time I didn't take the collar completely off. I just took it off in the front and stabilized it with clear elastic the way I had done for the shoulder seams, because you kind of always do that with a knit top, and that worked. I got a nice flat installation. I don't know. I used my twin needle along here, and I did like one needle is on the collar, one needle is under the collar, so that line of stitching where it attaches is right in the middle. And then on the armhole seams, it didn't call for binding or a facing or anything like that. You just turned it under. So I went through and I stabilized that with interfacing that I just cut to about 1/2 inch, ironed it on, and then when I turned it under twice, I just stitched it with my double needle, and it seemed to work really well. So I feel like I got a nice finish there, and then same twin needle on the hem. So I love this top. I would like to have more of these. Now, I don't know if I'll make this pattern again. Because I have so many, I don't know if I will go back and do it, but I really like it. I was afraid this would make me hot too, because one of the ways I cool off is to put my hair up, get it off the back of my neck, but I haven't gotten hot and I've had it on all day. So the other thing I made was McCalls 9529. Whoops. This is for 1985. I made the cardigan. And this cardigan, I didn't realize. I thought it had patch pockets. It has welt pockets. So I thought, oh, I'll just put patch pockets on. And then I thought, no, maybe I can try this and just see. I did not have high hopes because a welt pocket is difficult enough on a woven, but you try it on a knit, and I thought, oh, this is a recipe for disaster. No, it wasn't. I followed the instructions really carefully, and I marked it really carefully. And although it did not call for interfacing, I did use that to stabilize the opening. I couldn't believe it. They came out perfectly. But as with 1985, I thought a drop shoulder would be very on trend right now. And it is, but I don't know about all of the look, this is big because the shoulder comes way down. Now I probably could have sized down, but I had a size medium and that was all I had. So I shortened it considerably. And I also put a band on the bottom, and then I didn't like the look of the band. And same on the cuffs. I did cut a band for it, but initially I saw on the Mood Society website, I'll link it below, but they have a little cardigan that's got like pleats going around and also on the bottom. And I loved that. And I thought, I bet I could do that. So I tried it on the sleeve. And I actually did both sleeves, but it made them too small and I just didn't want to work that hard. I thought I'll try that another time, but it's a cool look. It just looks really neat. So this, I don't know if I'll wear it that often, but to be honest, I just don't wear cardigans that often. But this is one of those comfy, cozy, put it on when you just feel kind of sloppy and you just want to hang out in your PJs all day or your sweats or, yoga pants or whatever. So I really like it. And to be honest, when one of my kids or more see it and say, hey, I'm cold, do you have a sweater? And I give them this, it's going to vanish from my house. I can tell you that right now. So I worked on those things this week. Our topic for Friday Sews this week is, what is the favorite thing that you made for someone else? Didn't even have to think about this. My sister is 8 years younger than me, and when she was about 10, she was so completely taken, completely enamored with the show Flipper. Flipper is a show, it's a TV show about a little boy and his dad, and they live in Florida, and Flipper is the dolphin that they befriend. So I made her a flipper, and she kept that thing until she said she was about 26 years old, and it just disintegrated. It had been fixed several times. In fact, she had asked me a couple of times to fix it or restuff it, and I remember I had done that. But anyway, so she offhandedly in a Facebook post, which is that I connect with my family on Facebook, she offhandedly commented on something I said and said, oh, I'd love another flipper. And I thought, I'm sure she was thinking, yeah, right. Yeah, that's never going to happen. It was just an offhanded comment that she made because she's in her 50s now. And I saw that and I thought, I bet you I could make her another one. It's not that hard. I don't remember it being that difficult. Famous last words, but it wasn't. So I tracked down the pattern. It's Simplicity 5778. This is Flipper. So I got some fleece, and it's silver kind of a silvery gray, and it's kind of, I forget what kind, crushed fleece, like crushed velvet. And I used that, and I kind of went off the rails when it came to some of the methods that they used. I did something a little bit different and a little different way, but it turned out fantastic. And I gave it to her last April. I just walked in, we were at a family meeting, and I walked in, she goes, "Oh, let her!" And she nearly jumped out of her skin. It was priceless. Like, she could not give me a better gift than the look on her face when I gave her that. I just, hands down, my favorite thing I've ever made for anyone else. So that is Friday Sews for this week. Be sure and check out the hashtag so you can find out everybody else's favorite gift that they made for someone else. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to do that. I'm like, I got to go watch some YouTube just so I can do that. So if you would like to see any of my Friday Sews in a big long playlist, you can check right here. And that's it for now for me. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.